Hey, what's up everyone? Today we have a Cub Cadet LTX1046. It's a pretty decent machine. As you can tell, it does not have a deck on it, but I do have the deck. It is in needing of a very thorough rebuilding, so we're going to be doing that in a separate video. Potentially. I have the parts, but I don't know if it's even going to be worth it, so we're going to look and see if it's even worth it. Before I open the box for the parts, I want to look and get this done. So we have a Kohler Courage 20 horsepower twin cylinder. Is this gonna stop? Eventually. And I have no idea pretty much anything about this, so I think we're gonna look at it together. Let me tell you what I do know about it though. I'm not gonna get into too many details because I don't really think it's appropriate for me to do so, but just in case, just to know certain things, let's go over a couple things. One, the owner of this unfortunately has an individual who came on hard times apparently, and wow, that was on tight. Kind of took a few pieces off and it sat. Has oil. It's literally right at the add mark though. It's clean oil, but it's not below low, so that's good. It's just at low. Some of the problems that we've discovered is I don't know what this is for. I haven't looked into pretty much anything, but I'm hoping it's just a safety. But there is, the starter is still there. Everything appears to be wired up to the starter. The real question part is this was there. That's not going to be fun. I'm hoping this was just off of a different one. I doubt it. I don't think I'm that lucky, but we are going to have to check that out. Yeah, a couple things to note is there is no muffler on this. This muffler is completely missing. So what do we know? We know it has oil. I need to move this so I can walk. Unfortunately, my garage is not as big as I would like it to be. I wonder if that's meant to be like that. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, so muffler's missing. Now let me tell you a story about that muffler. Like I said, the person that owns this has a family member that's on hard times. He's just going to sell this. He basically knows that he's going to get a semi-decent amount of money on there, but he also doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money. So he said try to make it as cheap as possible, but make it safe, effective, and reliable. That's kind of like those people that you see online that say they need like a fast, reliable, non-branded title car that is under $1,000 but also only 3 years old. You know, a couple of those things you can find in those categories, but definitely not all of them. So we might have to do a little bit of work. One of the things what I will have to do is we're gonna have to work with that muffler situation if it's working. And the muffler that I found, there's a 4 or 5 different types I want to say. It could be a little less, a little more, I don't remember. But the muffler itself is all the same. It's just how they're mounted that's different because reasons, I suppose. So I bought the cheapest one and I figured if I need to cut it up, weld it up so it's appropriate for this one, I can. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to do that because when looking at this one that I need, it was like over $200 or maybe almost 200, 178, I don't remember. I found one that just had a slightly different mounting position. Might have been for 18, I don't remember, but the muffler itself appeared to be the same. So I got that because it was $100. Trying to save the dude some money. We also have 0 battery. Not a single bit of battery. It's been completely gone. So I'm thinking I want to at least connect a jumper pack to it and see if we even have the ability to crank it over. Maybe that wiring down there is for the safety switch for the deck. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't look. But let's see if we can do that, and if we can't, we might just directly jump start the starter and look at the engine, and then if we need to go through the wiring, we can. But I want to at least try the key first. Usually these have a couple safeties on them. One for like the blade engagement, which I don't know which way is which. I'm assuming back is where it should be. Another one is going to be for that seems awfully loose, for the seat as well as the brake. Sometimes though you don't have to be on the seat for that one if the brake's on. Let's see what else. That just doesn't seem very... Usually the PTO, I don't know, let's give it, I probably should turn this on. There's not a whole lot of anything happening. My pack is full. I might just try to jump it directly to the starter. That might be a smarter idea. Okay, so a couple things I noticed. I went to go see the plugs. I was going to put a little oil down the cylinders just to make sure that, I mean, it's been sitting for a long time, so I don't know exactly, you know, if what the condition is inside of there. To kind of level it out, I took the plugs out. The plug you're looking at right now is broken. So there's that already. I put a little oil down there. And when looking at the oil filter, it was last serviced April 23rd, 2011. At least that's what the filter has written on it. It's 2021. It's been a while. So let's give this a try. Usually if you ground it out and you touch the positive, it should go. Well, that wasn't horrible. Why don't we put back the plugs? I'm going to take off the air filter cover. Let's look at the air filter. It's wet. It's not that horrible though. I'm going to put down a little bit of oil down the intake. Choke I want off. I also don't want it full throttle because there's no muffler. So I'm gonna get a little fuel, put the plugs in, and be right back. Okay, plugs are in, boots are on, fuel's down the intake. Let's see what happens. Perhaps my charger is just not wanting to work very well. Let me actually attach it and try and turn it on. Yeah, it's not wanting to play well. I thought it was full. Of course, I might have killed it when doing everything else. What else? Oh, and the lights are missing. That's nice. They just really took a lot off of this machine. Maybe that's what some of the wires are for. That would be nice, wouldn't it be? I guess it kind of would make sense. Yeah. I don't know. Why would you take light bulbs? I mean, what possible... I don't know. Let me think about this real quick, and I'll be right back. Let's try it again, except full throttle. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, though. No, it's not. So we have a dilemma on our hands. I do not have a battery that's good. They're all dead because that's what batteries I can do here. And my pack is dead, so there's that. And it does spin. I definitely feel compression, so I feel like it's probably okay. So I'm going to take the leap and say that we're probably dealing with a fuel problem, most definitely. Definitely a lack of electricity to start it. The deck, most definitely, and potentially some safety problems. But the engine has oil. I might spin it over with the dead battery, because it was able to do that. Later and see if we have spark, but I don't think we have a spark problem. So I'm going to take off this cover so I can get a good look at the carb. Well, so you can get a good look at the carb. But basically, there's 2 screws in the back. They only have to come out partially. 1 in the side, 2 in the front, 1 in the other side, and also this pump needs to be at least loosened. Is there 1 more in the back I'm just not seeing? The ones on the side are 8mm or 5/16. It really helps when you drop your wrench. That really makes it a lot easier. And the ones in the front are 10. Okay, what am I getting held up on? Am I missing a screw somewhere? I think I'm just not. Maybe you do have to take them all the way out. If you do, or maybe just not far enough out. I'm gonna work on this real quick. So I did take the cover off. You do have to take the back bolts out completely. It's odd to me, but whatever. In the front here, there are 2 10mm. I took those out already. Let's dump these out of my hands so they don't have an opportunity to go on the floor. Which, trust me, it's their pastime and their hobby. So, when going through here too, you want to look at the engine and see if any of the fins are super packed with dirt. I mean, it's going to be dirty, don't get me wrong, but if it's like caked in there, that can lead to an overheating problem. Overheating on engines, you know, most people would say is probably bad. I'm, you know, one of those people. But moving forward here, we have, this is the choke. It's just really dirty. Right here is a connection for a fuel cutoff, which very well could be some of the reason why machines like this don't start. They will get old and the fuel cutoff will stay shut, and next thing you know, it won't work anymore. This gasket really wants to come off here. It wouldn't surprise me, or I don't blame it. It's not a very pleasant home, but hopefully we'll be making it better here soon. So let's just give it some relief. Fuel line right here. Let's see here. So one thing's already apparent. That's this. This choke is not choking. So we have, at minimum, a linkage adjustment ahead of us. I mean, it should be going up farther, but it's not. So if it's just a linkage adjustment, that's relatively easy. There is a wire that's attached to the top of the carburetor, so we need to take that off first. So I don't really like working on these things because primarily there's two reasons why I don't like working on certain machines. One, I don't like dealing with tires and tubes, and I don't like dealing with that. I just don't, because in where I work, they usually are old and decrepit. Another reason why I don't like it, or another reason why I don't like working on these is, well, I guess I'll say three reasons. One, it's the space. It takes a lot of space, and my lift table isn't big enough for one of these, so it makes it difficult. Being 6 foot something, leaning over all day can really put a little ache in your back at the end of the day and the next morning. And another reason is I don't like dealing with electrical issues. So far, I've had to deal with all three of those. Come on. There we go. We're gonna move this a little higher. That way it can try to prevent bad fuel from dripping on the floor. Which one of you wants to come out first? That's my question. It's really hard to see with it being crusted in dirt. Cover your ears. Yeah, that didn't really help whatsoever. It really just seems like this choke needs to come off. It doesn't want to come off. You know what I think we're gonna have to do? Just kind of hit me. Every single one of these engines, I've had to take the stud out. So we're gonna have to do that. Let me explain. I took the studs out. Now, if you don't know how to do this, I'm going to be making, in fact I just did make a video about how to do just that. So if you need to know how to do such things, watch that video. It's quick, easy. And for whatever reason, some people miss certain parts of it, I feel, when they tell this on the internet. So I kind of hopefully filled it in at what I would like to see, because when I first heard about it, it's questions that I had. Granted, that was a while ago, but maybe those questions have been answered. Okay, let's take this over to the carb station. Here's the carb. So, like I was saying, this cuts off fuel. And sometimes they're a real pain, and they have real thin connection down where you can't really reach it. It's usually a 1/2 inch. So if you can find the thinnest 1/2 inch socket you can find, or find a cheap one that you don't care about and grind some of it down, that will usually help remove this. Or this one can just be difficult all around. I have to probably use a little force with this one. Put this in the vise, gave me a little bit more leverage. Oh boy, you see that fuel color already. That doesn't give me too much confidence about that. Oh man, it smells horrible. Absolutely horrible. I might consider cleaning that up a little bit. But just look at the color already. I mean, I need the other type of screwdriver. This set of screwdrivers is really useful, but it seems like the wider one is like what I use 90% of the time. If you don't know what these are, if you ever see a dot next to the intersection of the Phillips, you need to use one of these. That is a JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard, I believe it is. Not really sure, but basically if you use a standard screwdriver, it potentially will be stripping it out. They're formed a little bit differently. Kind of glad I put a towel down now. Let's just move these out of the way though. Oh wow, okay. Look at that junk. Wow. That's nasty. That's real nasty. Okay. Ew. Take this off. That was a tad gooey in there. Definitely water in there. Okay, another towel. I want to see how that comes out. If it just screws out, or I need a socket, or what's going on here. Oh. A plug that revealed another jet. That doesn't feel good. Let's see here. How does this feel? Feels a little better. The reason why being so careful is this is a very soft metal. I don't want to. Damn, like, ugh. Yeah, it's firmly in place. I don't want to take the risk of damaging it even more, so I'm not going to do much with that. So, turn on the ultrasonic let that warm up a little bit while we continue with our findings. Let's get another one of these, except smaller. See if we can't get that jet out from here. Appears to be about the right size. When you're looking for a screwdriver, try to find one that fits very, very snugly. That way you have little to no wiggle room. Problem is, some of these jets really love to even that one's being difficult. They have very shallow markings on them, so it's really hard to dig them out sometimes. But maybe we won't have to. Let's see what we have here. This has an adjustment on it, so let's see. We have half, one, about 1 1/4. We took one screw out already on the top plate here before that ground. At least I'm assuming it's ground. Man, that stinks. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in there. It doesn't really look like, maybe right there is removable. That's about it. Anything on the side? No. I'm going to put this in ultrasonic the way it is. I'm going to try to take the jets out again. And then we'll try it. If we can take it out, we will go ahead and clean it again. I'm gonna work on getting that gasket out. Let's see here. Nah, let's just do it now. I need like a pick. There we go. When I put this in the ultrasonic cleaner, these like to damage. But also, if you're damaging them, to take them out, it's not good. Well, that's also wanting to stay on there, so I'm going to put this in there the way it is, and we'll look at it later. So do you want the good news? I was able to get that out. You get a new towel, because the other one was pretty nasty. I was also able to get this jet out, which is a little dirty even after the carb washing. So that just kind of shows the importance of removing them when you can. Let's see if we can get this emulsion tube out. I mean, it's not horrible. Close your ears. You know what? I'm just gonna do this with you not listening. So, good news is I was able to get it out, put in a vise after everything. Just put a little good downward pressure on there and we're good. Also got this one out. This seems to be relatively clean. Blew everything off nice and thoroughly except for where I got the jets. Close your ears. Well, I blew them out, but not with the emulsion tube and everything gone. But the emulsion tube seems clean now. Cleaned it out. Got that nice and good. This jet should be pretty good now. Let's see if we look at the emulsion tube. The emulsion tube is in there and it's protruding. So that's good. We're just going to tighten this up. There we go. Can't stress the key of taking this out is to be patient, because it's going to be a whole lot easier. Just wait. I have to be buying a new one. And it is to buy a new one, I should say. There is a tad bit of bad news, however. The little solenoid on the bottom, I tested it and it is not working. So that is something that will have to be replaced. But the good news is it's easily bypassable for our purposes right now. So while I am waiting for a new one, we can still work on this. So, good and bad. I'm going to blow that off a little bit more. I don't really like how that is looking at me. Okay, that's better. It's giving me the eye. You know what? I also kind of want to take a Q-tip and clean this out. I don't know if I really even showed this. At least not too much. Sorry for the helicopter noise. Right now I'm just taking a Q-tip and putting it in my drill. Luckily Q-tips are cheap, so if you really need to cut it in half, you can. I don't. But let's take some cleaner, assuming that I could find it in this garage. This is brake cleaner, carb cleaner works, doesn't really matter. Just gonna put a little down there. If you have an O-ring on your carb, you're gonna want to be very careful. See? Looks a whole lot better now. If it's really bad, you can put well, pretty much anything in there as long as you don't ruin it. Thin or very fine grained valve grinding compound can work. Those little pumice soaps you get for your hands, to if I can actually get this in there, it'd be great. Anyway, those little pumice soaps are pretty decent. I don't really have to use those too often though. If you are at that point in your carb, you probably need to consider getting a new one. However, this does not seem like it's the right screw. Oh, because it's not. It was screwing in, it just wasn't really where it should have been. There we go. So this goes right here. Sorry, I had to do a double take. It wasn't, for whatever reason, it wasn't like lining up in my head very well. It still isn't. Must be like this then. Okie dokie. So you're about to die, so I'm just going to put this back on and call it good. We'll give it a try tomorrow. So I'm a little impatient. My charger is not done yet. I got the carb pretty much ready. I have not installed it, however, because I want to see if this engine's any good. But I mean, I have to put it back together anyway, but my problem is I don't want to connect a carb. I've already started draining the fuel and it's horrible. It's going to take a little bit more work, so I don't even want to go through that if it's a busted engine. So I say we try it without the carb on and see what happens. It's going to be loud, so beware. I'm even wearing ear protection. Nah, not enough juice in the thing, the pack. That's unfortunate, really is. But I'm going to disconnect the plug wires and we'll see if there's at least spark. So I took the plug wires out and kind of gave it a good turnaround. And it does have spark. It's not the greatest spark, but there is spark. The problem we're running into is the battery just does not have enough power to go all the way through fast enough to really allow us to test it out. So that is unfortunate. The other unfortunate part is, as well, is before I put fuel in there, I think I will want to, let me take off my hearing protection, it's hard to talk. I think we're going to want to put a little fuel down the intake anyway, because, well, I guess we could, tomorrow when it's done, we can just turn it off. I'm assuming off would be down here. We'll have to look into that tomorrow. But I don't want to have it run and then have no way of turning it off. At least no way that I know how to turn it off. So that might be a problem. But well, yeah, that would be a problem. I mean, technically, as it sits right now, the brake's on. If there was spark, if we were to turn it off, it would kill it anyway, so we might just put it together tomorrow. I don't know, I have to do some thinking. Because, you know, like I said, this is a kind of a rough one. I think I'm in charge. I'll bring you back. We'll get this running. I think that's probably going to conclude the first day, and then I will see you tomorrow evening. Hopefully, well, for you it will be a couple seconds. So I'm just packing up for the evening. I just thought of a couple things. As you saw, I did get the fuel lines and everything taken off and whatnot, so that's where I kind of want to leave it as well, because there was a lot of water in there and I really want to have it contaminate the new carb. And I also realized that I never really said what I'm going to do with the old carb, because that other piece was bad. I just took the plunger out. The plunger goes up, blocks the jet. With no plunger, there's nothing to block the jet. That plunger isn't a sealant of any type, so it's no problem there. Not going to be too much of a problem. I'm still going to connect it, but it's not. It's basically what it's meant to do is when you kill spark on a gasoline engine, it will shut it off. Unlike a diesel, which you have to shut off the fuel, well, this does both. Shuts off spark and the fuel. That way, when the engine's running, it's not drawing more fuel. When you draw more fuel like that, it actually will potentially get, sucked into the cylinder and then exit through the exhaust valve. And if your exhaust is hot, which if you've been running it for any length of time, it probably has been, it's going to have a backfire. And it's not good for emissions, I'm supposed, so that's why it's there. We're going to omit that for the time being until I order one, and then going forward from there. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect everything, let it dry, or leave it unconnected. Tomorrow, connect everything after it's dry, put it all back together. We will try it again, and hopefully we will have a running engine. So that way we can at least conclude part 1, and then we can work on the deck, and after that point I think we're almost done. Okay, we've came to that point in time. I think it's time to check out if it works. It's the next day, and oh, here it is. My jumper pack has had time to fully charge, sat on the charger overnight. That way we can see if it even has the power to do this. I hope it does. I mean, it can jump start a car. At least that's the claim it can do. I don't think I took out both plugs. I think I just took out one. So I connected the carb, drained the fuel system completely of water, also adjusted the choke. If you want to see how to do that, I'm making a series of short videos. Just watch the short. And also the water, if you don't know how to do that, watch that short video. I'm putting on my hearing protection because it's probably going to be loud. Jumper pack is set. Is there anything that can get in the way? I do not think so. There is no fuel in the tank. I'm also going to wear some eye protection because there's a whole bunch of junk everywhere. I don't want stuff to be flown into my eye. I hope that's how it goes in there. For good measure, we'll do it both sides. Okay. That's irritating. This stupid jumper pack is not working. Okay. So, unfortunately, I don't really know why my jumper pack is acting like this, but it is. I do not have another one. At least nothing right now. So, we're unfortunately not going to be able to hear it go. But here's the thing. I wonder if it's just shorting out. It's pretty warm. I don't know. Well, here's the thing. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be looking at the electrical system on this. At least I'm going to try to. So I'm going to leave it at where we are right now, and then we'll take it from then forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off right now. Basically, we got the carb done. We got the fuel system done. We got all that done. I'm going to put the cover back on, get all that buttoned up, and we should be good to go. Because let's face it, we have compression. We'll have fuel here soon. We know there's spark, so we should be ready. We just have some type of problem with this battery situation going on here. So I'm going to get that started, and then we'll continue. I know. I don't think that's going to be much of a difference, but I guess we could try it. I realized it was on choke. I'm going to take out the plug. And of course, that's the wrong one. take out the plug and spray directly into the cylinder and see if I can just get it to bump over a little bit and do this. Probably not, because yet again, this annoying problem we seem to be having. Doesn't smell like anything, so. Naturally, I took off my hearing protection, but you know, hearing's overrated. It's only going to run on one cylinder, but I'm not too concerned over it running on two. Just get past the hump. And no, not gonna be able to do that, but we get the point. The more and more I thought about it, I tried it one more time, thinking maybe the starter might be having a problem, because why would it do that so quickly? I mean, and when I tried it a second time, it would spin, but nothing was happening. So I think we are having a problem with the starter. So this is definitely the end of this one. So I will catch you in the next video. Subscribe, see the ending of this hopefully here soon, and have a good evening. So I'm at a crossroads right now. I took the starter off, and it does appear this is cracking. The piece that connects to this rubber bushing is also not attached anymore, and it is just spinning freely. The motor itself still works. So I'm going to see how much a rebuild kit is for this. Generally though, this is where the crossroads go. I know the engine's good, per se, but right now we have a muffler, now a starter, a battery. The muffler is 120, the starter is about 50, the battery is about 50. So now we're at over $200. The rebuild kit for the deck, that's 100 and something, so that's over 300 now. Then the tune-up kit, that's like 20, that's like 30, 330. Random parts here and there, fuel line, fuel filter, all that stuff. That's just the parts. Like, we are getting into territory of too expensive for its own good. But the owner does want it to be done. I just don't think it's a good idea. So right now, my dilemma is I need to get this starter replaced or working again. So, but here's the crossroads I was talking about. I'm sorry, I was on a tangent. Every time I've ever done this, it gets stuck again. Every single time. Now, if you really were needing to, you could open it up, get it cleaned out as much as you possibly can, and potentially it would work. But you know, the chances of that happening again is pretty high, in my opinion. Maybe other people have different experiences, but in my experience, it's usually relatively common that it's just going to keep on happening. And right now I'm looking for the kit, see if I can find it real quick. Well, the kit isn't too obvious on what it is, but right now we are looking at a new kit for that. Let's say that's like 20 bucks. I'd rather spend the extra money and just make sure to get a good starter and not have to worry about it. But my other potential issue is I don't know if this is any good either. I mean, I would assume it is, but I very well might just buy one of those two just in case, just to avoid any more costly delays. So yeah, this is the where we ended. So right now, if your gear is stuck like this, I mean, and it will probably run, but it just gets stuck. It won't actually, like, nothing really ends up working. It just gets stuck and just continues to spin with no real force behind it. Like I said, you can probably take it apart and get it going again, but this was already having a really hard time to begin with, and it was really caked in there. This bushing is completely tore up, or this material, that's not supposed to be happening, so that's not good as well. So I'm just going to buy a new one, and then hopefully we'll be here another day or two and we can continue on with this video. So now it's a real end. Have a good evening.